She is indeed about to leave court, having given evidence for a number of hours, really. There are 10 defendants in this case, and the way that the French legal system works, each of those lawyers for those 10 were each entitled to ask Kim Kardashian questions, which is why she has been here giving her evidence for so long. This, of course, is the first time that she has come face to face with those accused of robbing her at gunpoint or on that night. She's spoken a few times over the last 9 years about that experience and said that it was genuinely terrifying, but she really hasn't gone into much detail. And we heard today just how traumatic an experience it was for her. She spoke about how violating she felt it was. It was 3 a.m. in the morning. She'd been staying in this penthouse suite of a hotel in a posh part of Paris when she'd heard noises outside of the hotel room, and then two men dressed in police uniform burst into her apartment with the concierge, using the concierge to translate their demands to her. In court, she said, one had a gun up to me. I absolutely did think I was going to die. She spoke about the fact that she'd fallen asleep in her bathrobe and she hadn't had any clothes on, and that she'd been on the bed and that one of the alleged robbers had pulled her towards him, and she said, I was naked, the robe had opened up, I was certain that was the moment that he was going to rape me. She went into a detail about how absolutely violating she felt the whole experience was. They didn't rape her, she wasn't assaulted in that respect, but clearly this is a traumatic event from her past that still has haunted her. She spoke in the court about how she has absolutely fundamentally changed the security arrangements around her. That night she was sharing a security guard with her sister. The security guard had gone out with her sister, so she was alone. She said since then, every single member of the family, all of her children, are constantly accompanied by their own security guard. She said many people think that she's over the top in her preparations, but she said that is the only way nowadays that she manages to sleep at night. And when she was talking to the concierge in the room as this was all unfolding, using him as her translator, she said to him, this is a quote from what she said in court, "What's going to happen to us? Please, can you translate to them? I have babies, I have babies." And he said to her, she said, "I don't know if we're going to die." She clearly still to this day is haunted by the events of October 2016. Millions of pounds worth of her jewellery was stolen, about 10 million, including a £4 million engagement ring from her then fiancé, Kanye West. It's never been returned. One thing that she did get from this afternoon from several of the defendants, 2 of them have admitted their part in this. 8 of them are contesting that they had any involvement in this. But 2 of them apologised to her, one in the form of a letter, the other in the form of Yunus Abbas, who has since written a book saying I kidnapped Kim Kardashian, who said he acted as a lookout that night. He stood up in court. He now has Parkinson's. His hands were shaking as he spoke, and he apologised for any trauma that he'd inflicted on her. But he said that, but she said, though, in response, that while she has done a lot of studying of law since then, she's worked with a lot of prisoners in getting justice for people who are on death row in America. She said having empathy is important to her, but she said while she has forgiveness, it doesn't change in her eyes the trauma that she still feels to that day about what happened. And having given her account now, she said she hoped that this moment would bring her closure. We believe that she should be coming out fairly soon now. We know from her publicists that they have said that she intends to say a few words. As I was saying, she said she hoped this moment would bring her closure, putting what happened, she said, to rest as she now attempts to walk away from this incredibly traumatic moment. We're hoping that she will now say a few words. Possibly not. Maybe despite the fact that her publicist has said she was going to talk tonight. It has been an incredibly long amount of time which she has been giving evidence today. Look, we're used to seeing her as this composed, picture-perfect celebrity that's known to people around the world. She was crying in there on several occasions today. It could be, I think, that actually she's found the whole experience quite a lot to process, really, to relive that night. It would seem that rather than talking to the world's media who are inside of the court, hoping to speak to her before she leaves, it would seem that she is now just going straight away, leaving the court this afternoon.
Yeah, we're just, we've got pictures of her, well, it's outside the court, and her vehicles, which seem to be moving away now. So although she said she would say a few words, it does look as if that is not the case. Just briefly, Katie, just bring us up to date. What stage of the trial are we at?
Well, look, we've got 2 more weeks of this trial before the jury will be asked to consider their verdict on this. This was the big day, if you like, where the world's media returned here to Paris 9 years after the incident took place, to really sort of find out in more detail exactly what happened. She hasn't spoken about this night very much because she clearly does find it so traumatic. So this was the chance really for her to talk. Oh, I believe we should be able to hear from her lawyer, who is speaking inside.
Try to have, generosity in your heart, and someone asks you point blank, please forgive me for what I did to you, and she did. But deep inside, she's still their victim.
What will constitute justice?
I think justice is up to the panel of judges and the jury, and we'll accept whatever decision they choose to render.
How difficult was it for her to relive all those moments?
It's uncomfortable, it's hard, it's not something that you want to do, but she summoned the courage to do it, and I'm proud of what she said today. Any other questions? Thank you.
Katie, so we've just heard from the lawyer there. Quite clearly, we're not going to hear from Kim Kardashian, at least not at the moment.
Look, she isn't. She's found the last few hours, I think, very traumatic. Compared to this sort of poised, picture-perfect celebrity that we're used to seeing, it has been a very different experience for her, worlds away from the sort of premieres and red carpets where we're used to seeing her at. What kind of does really come into contrast here, though, is the difference between her world. You saw those sort of glamorous arrival and exit shots of her, accompanied by all the security, accompanied by her managers and her team, and then you compare to the actual 10 people that are on trial here, dubbed the grandpa robbers by the French media because of their age. They have now found themselves within the media's glare, within this media spotlight, and look, we'll find out in the next 2 weeks whether or not they get found guilty in this case.